Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Partnership of Drug Free New Hampshire's Facebook Live. My name is Julie Yerkes, and I'm the Community Engagement Lead for the partnership. And thanks for joining us today. We host these Facebook Lives regularly so that we can explore current prevention initiatives around the state of New Hampshire. And this week we are excited to celebrate National Prevention Week. It's a celebration of what's possible. National Prevention Week is a public education platform that showcases the work of communities and organizations across the country that are preventing substance use and promoting positive mental health. Previously, National SAMHSA, who hosts and promotes National Prevention Week, used to have a topic a day, and it was very prevention, specific topic. And they've shifted a bit on that because they've recognized that prevention happens every day. It's not just during the second week of May. And that National Prevention Week is an opportunity to celebrate and promote the year-round efforts that folks are engaged in around the country. And you can see a lot of their highlights through the SAMHSA initiative. And here in New Hampshire, the partnership is really year-round. We celebrate the work that's happening in New Hampshire, but this week we are doing it every day and highlighting some of our prevention partners and the cool and awesome things that they do, and really looking at what's possible. Yesterday we had Nashua Department of Public Health on and all the innovative initiatives that they're doing there. And today I'm really pleased to have Luke and Alyson here. Luke and Alyson are program facilitators at ADAPT, the Adolescent Drug and Alcohol Prevention Tools in Campton, New Hampshire. There are two programs that have started through ADAPT, and their executive director, Sean O'Brien. And those are Youth Leadership Through Adventure, which we'll probably refer to as YALTA, because that's easier to say, and Wilderness Youth Leadership Development. So YALTA and WILD. And those are two programs that Alyson and Luke coordinate and run. And we're excited to talk to them today about what they do and what prevention means to them. So welcome, Alyson and Luke. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
And Alyson, why don't you give us a little peek at your view? If you sort of move over, we can see the mountains.
Yeah.
Not bad, huh? Where are you joining us from today?
I'm actually at the Mount Washington Hotel in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire today. There's an outdoor recreation symposium that's going on, so I'm joining in from there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for being here. Not a bad spot.
No, not at all.
Symposium with all the mountains surrounding you. Beautiful, nice air. So tell us a little bit about yourselves. How did you get involved in this work? What's your prevention story, if you will? Luke, do you want to start?
Yeah, Luke, go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So I've been kind of with my family, got into hiking, coming up to New Hampshire all the time. I grew up down in southern New England in Connecticut. I ended up taking a year off because I was the youngest of four. I didn't really have the direction to go to college right away. Took a year off, started working at an Eastern Mountain Sports, and exploring kind of my passion for rock climbing and longer kind of expedition style trips. I got interested in coming up to Northern Vermont University, now Vermont State University in Lyndonville, Vermont. When I started, it was Lyndon State College, and I pursued the Mountain Recreation Management program with a focus on adventure leadership. And that kind of started taking me down the program facilitation route and leading trips and TAing, teacher assistant, and then essentially teaching courses there. So it's been a nice full circle to be back here and set up here as a home base.
Oh, that's awesome. And when you say the home base, what do you mean by that?
I am based out of Littleton, New Hampshire. So, and I work with predominantly with the WILD program, the Wilderness Youth Leadership Development Program, north of the Notch, and a lot of the schools up here.
Awesome, thank you. And I have a question. When you were going through all this, now you work at ADAPT. You work at a place called Adolescent Drug and Alcohol Prevention Tools. Did you I call that prevention, okay? Because I'm in a prevention system. That's my role. And I'm wondering if you've anywhere along the way considered being outdoors, taking leadership, learning those skills, building your capacity and your resilience as prevention.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, again, I did mention I grew up in a family of four. I'm the youngest. I watched, and my grandparents and family members, I watched alcoholism in my family. And I think it benefited me being able to be the youngest to kind of learn and see the way that things were done wrong and maybe the way that things should have been done right. And it kind of dawned on me getting into climbing and adventure-oriented sports, where I had to kind of stretch my comfort zone and really face my own challenges that I put myself in. And it dawned on me pretty early that was a style of prevention. That was an alternative to seek those adrenaline and dopamine fixes.
Yeah, getting that dopamine in a healthy way, right? Awesome. How about you, Alyson? How did you get where you are these days?
Yeah, I actually grew up in Manchester, New Hampshire. Not super inner city, but definitely not where I am located now, which is Rumney, New Hampshire. And I grew up loving to go outside, but I never was really super involved with a lot of outdoor activities. But after I graduated high school, like Luke, I took a year off. I worked full time and kind of was trying to decide what I wanted to do. And I knew that for me personally, an office job, 9 to 5, has never really looked that great to me. And so I was like, what can I major in that will help me go down a path of not sitting at a desk all day? And props to people who can do that. That's a talent and a skill. And then I found the adventure education program at PSU. I graduated with a degree in that, and I did an internship as a wilderness therapy guide in Maine at a place called Summit Achievement. I was there for about a year and a half, and I loved it. It was some of the hardest things I've ever done, and also some of the funniest moments I've ever had was working with those teenagers there. And from there, I was kind of looking to get into something else, and actually, my friend mentioned this position here at ADAPT, and I thought that it was a great opportunity to put my skills as an outdoor educator into use by empowering the youth and just giving them those skills that they need to see change in their community, or maybe see that change needs to be done, and more on a more local level. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. Well, why don't we just talk more about that? So you kind of told us how you got to where you are. So tell us about what your current, what you're doing today, what you do through ADAPT and these YELTA and WILD programs, and what that looks like.
Yeah, sure. So at ADAPT, I facilitate both WILD and YELTA programmings. WILD is more of, and those are mostly middle schoolers. We take them outside. We take them from their school, sometimes during the school day, sometimes after school for about 2 hours, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. Some of the activities that we do are outdoor cooking, hiking, biking, team building activities. And what we're looking to do is to teach these kids skills about what leadership is, and also give them an opportunity to maybe discover outdoor activities that they might not have had the opportunity to do without us, and be like, oh, hey, I actually kind of like that thing, and that's something that I want to continue to do. One really cool thing that's happened in Wild just the past like few months is we've had 3 students learn how to ride bikes,
Oh,
which just like makes me so happy. And to see their grit and determination in riding bikes, and then when they finally get it, it's just like the look of pure joy on their face just proves like what we're doing is doing something for these kids, and that's it's just amazing to see. And then more on the Yolta side of things, we this can be middle schoolers or high schoolers. So what that is kind of youth-led meetings where they talk about issues that they see in their community, in their school, and what they can do to change it. Me being the adult there, I'm kind of just supervising, helping guide the conversation, providing them resources.
mhm.
For we also have a regional Yolta, and that's different high schools from around New Hampshire get together to look more on like a regional level, regional Yolta, and see what similar projects they can put into different schools to help improve climate. One thing that we just did with our regional Yolta, the high schoolers actually just held a conference at the AMC Highland Center for, I think it was 7 different middle schools. And through that, we had family groups where they did team building activities and learned about leadership. They had school groups where the high schoolers led conversations with middle schoolers about what's wrong in their schools and how can they fix it. And then we did like had like a dance and stuff, and it was just a really fun. Oh, we also had like a choose your own adventure where kids got to go on a hike, some kids got to go climbing. It was just like a really good opportunity for kids to like do their mini networking in New Hampshire and be like, oh, I can meet people from different parts of New Hampshire and like create relationships. And yeah, it's a great way for schools to connect and really see what maybe common issues people have.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love what you're saying. I think you might say, well, how is that prevention, right? And again, I'm wearing and that efficacy that a young person feels that they can go and be in a large group of people and make their way, right? And that they can be successful. That the next time they need to go do something like that, whether it be for, another conference or work, they recognize that they have that ability, right? And we know coming out of COVID that those opportunities, right, have been so absent from this group of young people's lives. And frankly, even college students, right, we've really been missing that. So being able in a supportive environment to give that opportunity for them, I have little goosebumps. Because it's wonderful to hear. And that the high school students were facilitating so much of that, though, again, I can do this, right? I'm given the opportunity to try something with awesome supervision, right? Awesome support from you guys, and then I'm successful. And I know from that, I keep building, just like riding that bike, right? Oh, riding a bike. What is that? How's that? Well, it's grit. It's learning, getting up, falling down. That's awesome. Thank you. That's so cool.
Yeah,
Yeah. I love these good stories, right? It just
yeah.
makes me happy. Thank you. And how about Luke? Anything to add to that? Like what you're doing and how you see it, your work playing out in the young people?
Yeah, I mean, kind of just a direct relation to what Alyson was just saying is it was cool. A lot of seeing some of the middle schoolers that I have worked with throughout this entire year come to that conference, and where some of those schools are so tiny that bullying is such an issue because they're always with each other. To be able to see a smile on their face and like they're actually making friends, and like it's like they were using us as a security blanket because they knew us, and then they would immediately be like, no, I'm gonna go hang out with my friends now. So that was kind of, for me, that was kind of my high point of our conference, was
Yeah.
seeing students really like make connections with other students like-minded in the region beyond just their school.
Yeah. And that's awesome. Knowing that your world is bigger than this little pocket that you can be in, especially in rural areas and small schools. expanding opportunities, expanding what can be, right? That's expanding the possibilities is critical for young people.
Yeah.
Really helps them, gives them a new perspective, on life, so thanks for being there for them and doing that. That's great.
Yeah, absolutely. And our two programs, Wild and Yalta, they also serve very vastly different student populations, with the hopes that Wild students eventually, when they get into high school, do kind of start becoming those high school Yalta facilitators. But Yalta works with student leaders within the school, and as Alyson said, it's student-led. Wild is predominantly after school, and it works with students that maybe need something better to do after school, or maybe they go home and they're home alone all afternoon. And so predominantly it works with student at-risk populations where they want something to do, and it gives them that opportunity to fail and succeed, all in a safe space, which I think is really important for a really important aspect of the Wild programming.
Yeah, great. And, so is there any, we look at Yalta and Wild as substance use prevention, right? And mental health promotion. Do either of you want to speak a little bit to how you see it being more explicitly prevention? I know it's kind of a hard question.
I work with I'll often work with an alternate detention program that Sean runs through Plymouth Regional High School, where he is also a dean of students, I believe. And that is where I see a lot of like direct head-on conversations, more so about prevention. Yeah. And with the high school kids, you can be a little bit more real. You can share these experiences and why I chose the path that I did, and I think they appreciate the realism on top of like there's actually real substance to what we're doing here, and there's actually value in outdoor education. There's value in standing on the edge of a cliff with a rope and a harness and pushing yourself. So I think like that's where I've at least seen it adapt, is my alternate detention programming, where I am working with kids that maybe got caught vaping or there was an issue that directly related to substance.
Great. Thank you. So you both are involved in an organization. You have jobs, right? As sort of unstructured a little bit, it's not a 9 to 5, but it's still, you work with resources, you work with a structure, both Wild and Yalta are involved in like a service to science, showing a grassroots program, becoming evidence-based, right? So there's like a curriculum and so this is like a structured idea, right? A structured program, even with its openness. But what, and not every listener today is part of that, right? A program or a prevention system or what have you. And I'm just curious if you have any thoughts or advice to the listener on how they can be supportive to young people and community members and other folks that they care about, to promote mental wellness and promote substance use prevention. Any thoughts on that? Like what you see really resonating with the young people you work with, or other tidbits of advice that we can all do every day?
Yeah, I think honestly a lot of what I see what kids like to do is a lot of the times it's just to be listened to. A lot of these kids really do just like to talk about things that they like, and if you seem interested, then you're their new best friend. And it doesn't take that much to ask a few questions that dive a little deeper into whatever a kid is talking about. And I think that with that, like, sometimes some kids can just like talk and talk and talk and talk, and you're like, okay, I'll listen. But some other kids need like a little poking and prodding to kind of get that relationship. going and to get the conversation going. And I think it just takes effort in communication a lot of the time, is what I think a lot of kids are lacking, is communication, maybe with friends or family. A lot of these kids have a hard time articulating what they're feeling, even having a conversation. I know you mentioned COVID earlier, and I think that it really did have quite a big effect on how these kids socialize and how they experience things. And for people looking to say, well, how do I find out about these programs like my kids in school? How do I find out? Call your school. Say, hey, what kind of opportunities does my kid have your kid talk to their guidance counselor. We try to do a lot of outreach with these schools, and we try to really get it out there that we have these opportunities for kids, but sometimes there's low numbers. And so that's something that we're still working on, is it because kids are just uninterested, or do they not have the knowledge of it? So the biggest thing is just like finding out what is available to you in your area, what's available to you for your kid, or whoever they are to you, young person, and just seeing what kind of opportunities that maybe they don't know about.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, it is hard. I've been doing this work for a long time, and that connection between the resource that's available and the folks for whom it is available for is sometimes hard to make. And, sometimes the parents need to really work hard. Sometimes the guidance, it's a lot of work from you guys promoting it, to parents looking for it, to schools trying to facilitate that knowledge transfer. And if we're all kind of doing our little piece, it goes a long way. And having our young people be active and finding, exploring what they're interested in, and having those opportunities are great. Thank you. And I loved how you started with saying that they just want to be listened to. That is what we hear over and over again when we are out working with young people at the Partnership at Drug Free New Hampshire. We, in fact, just made a video, 2 videos over the last couple of years, where young people are just unprompted telling us what they need. And it is supportive adults that they can talk to. And that is what research said. There's research that supports that as well. In New Hampshire, we're fortunate to have a One Trusted Adult program that really advocates for that as well. So it's what we know. And yet, I think a lot of times it's hard for adults to kind of tune all their other responsibilities out, and just focus and give. It can be 5 minutes, like you said. It doesn't have to be a lot of time, but making those young people feel seen and heard, and that they are that they're worthy, right? That they are important, and validating their feelings. So thank you, Luke. Any wisdom that you want to share about how to support our community members or the young people in our lives?
I think, Alyson hit the nail on the head. It's reach out to your school administration, reach out to even your town. A lot of we work at least directly around our base camp in Campton. We work with a lot of folks, a lot of town organization as well. I think, it started out of a classroom in Linwood, is where Sean O'Brien started back in the 90s. And so it just kind of, with the support of the school, that's huge. But it is tough, because it goes through, you mentioned, it goes through 3 layers. It goes from us, it goes through maybe a school guidance counselor, and then it has to get past a parent, and then finally the student can get the green light to come along with us. So it is tough, but that's being seen and heard is really built into our organized chaos structure that we have. As I like to say, is we give the opportunity. There's usually the kids that are those speak first individuals and can help those think first students talk and feel comfortable expressing themselves a little bit more through icebreakers and silly games that we do as we introduce ourselves. And that's kind of all built into our loosely but organized and chaotic structure that we have.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love it. I'm actually bringing my daughter to a program today called Organized Chaos. I think that's like
it's
such a great,
yeah.
great fit term. Because that organized chaos lets people explore and move at their paces, and so that's awesome.
Yeah, and I think it's sorry. No, I also think it's important to note there's so much other as great as much as I'm biased towards the outdoor adventure and that kind of experiential education is so much more as well. There's so much more social, emotional learning opportunities, whether it's through music, art. I mean, as Alyson said, they just want to be seen and heard, and I've seen most success in our programs when it's just like a nice walk in the woods. Or our program yesterday we just built fairy houses with natural elements, and it was just like a mindfulness activity of really being present in the moment with our students, and we have a shorter period of time with those students, so it was really nice to kind of just be fully present.
Yeah slowing down, being present. I think getting off the screens is a big helping I think these are all, like, we're focused on young people right now, but these are all tried and true strategies for our adult friends and people we care about who are old and are older adults, right? We know that loneliness and isolation are really impacting our mental health and our overall wellness. And so when we have that connection, when we have those not even meaningful, right? Light conversations, right? Talking about, but being heard and sharing and talking and being connected is so critical across the lifespan. And so, asking people how they are, that was the tip yesterday, just, checking in, talking, being there for somebody. Well, I appreciate that. And I appreciate you being here today. And we have some resources that we'll share online here on our Facebook Live. We have our partnership at Drug Free New Hampshire, our website. You can find a lot of resources around the state to support young people, young adults, and adults, formal and informal. We have strategies on how to connect with, take care of ourselves and others. And a lot of these programs around the state, like ADAPT and Wild and Yalta and New Hampshire Teen Institute, other local programs as well. So reach out, connect, and I can't tell you how much I thank you for being here.
Thanks.
Yeah, thank you
So much for having us. And if any parents out there are looking for summer programming, we still have openings for our summer camps, which is on our website as well. So
awesome.
Take a look.
Great. Yes. So ADAPT offers summer programs. And so if any of this kind of this conversation sparked your interest in getting your young person involved in these types of activities, the ADAPT website is right there, and their summer camp, you can look into those there. And there are overnight camps up in Campton.
Overnight camps. There are day camps available as well.
Okay, yeah. Perfect. Well, thank you so much.
Awesome.
Thank you. And Julianne, thank you for your support behind the scenes, and we will talk to you all soon.
Thank you.
Bye.